Hi dear friends, welcome back to Tech by SHK. We are going to talk about the cloud computing models. An overview of the cloud computing models. There are three in total: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Which one to choose depends on the scenario of a case that you have. If you decide to use that infrastructure as a service model, you will be responsible for the operating system, the middleware, runtime, data, and applications. The cloud provider will then be responsible for the virtualization, the servers, the storage, and the networking. However, if you decide to use the platform as a service model, you will be responsible for the data and the applications, and the cloud provider will be responsible for the rest. The operating system, the middleware, runtime, virtualization, service, storage, and networking. In the case that you decide to use the software as a service model, the cloud provider will be responsible for everything and you will not manage anything. Let's get more details about the cloud computing models. Infrastructure as a service, also known as IaaS, is the virtual provision of computing resources over the cloud. And in IaaS, cloud provider can give you the entire range of computing infrastructures, such as storage, servers, networking hardware, alongside maintenance and support. Businesses can opt for computing resources of their requirement without the need to install hardware on their premises. Platform as a service, also known as PaaS, simplifies the process of enterprise software development. The virtual runtime environment provided by PaaS gives a favorable space for developing and testing applications. The entire resources offered in the form of servers, storage, and networking, and manageable either by the company or a platform provider. And the last one, software as a service, known as SaaS, is a model that gives quick access to cloud-based web applications. The vendor controls the entire computing stack, which you can access using a web browser. These applications run on the cloud and you can use them by a paid license subscription or for free. With limited access, as SaaS does not require any installations or downloads in your existing computing infrastructure. This eliminates the need for installing applications on each of your computers, with the maintenance and support taken over by the vendor. Now we're going to talk about the cloud computing concepts. Scalability is the ability to increase or decrease the resources, size or count, increase and decrease. The resources count is known as horizontal scaling, and increasing or decreasing the resources size is known as vertical scaling. Elasticity is the ability to increase and decrease resources dynamically as needed to adapt to work load changes automatically. Another basic concept is the availability, which is the amount of time a cloud provider guarantees that your data and services are available. It is usually measured in percentage. For example, 99%. Recovery is the ability to recover from a disaster or a system failure. It can be, for example, a backup. Another topic that needs to be very clear is the difference between Internet and Internet. Internet is a private connection that uses private IP addresses. It is free of charge and the services must be deployed in the same region. One example for this is a connection between two ECS instances in the same region. On the other hand, the Internet is a public connection that uses public IP addresses. It is charged and the services can be deployed anywhere. An example is a connection between two ECS instances in different regions. And lastly, the difference between stateful and stateless. Stateless means that the session data is not stored on the server. That means that the data is being transmitted without any information about the sender or receiver being retained by either. Stateful, on the other hand, stores a session data on the server, typically via login. Cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of compute power, database storage, application, and other IT resources. The very important keyword here is on demand. You get it when you need it. And then through a cloud service platform. You're going to get a pay-as-you-go pricing. That means that you're only going to pay for what you requested when you requested it. And as you're using it, when you're done using it, you're not going to pay anymore. We can provision exactly the right type and size of computing resources you need. The cloud really allows you to adapt to the type and size you need. When you want a server, you'll have it within seconds. Then the cloud will also give you a really nice interface, so you can easily access your servers, your storage, databases, and a set of application services. So you have actually been using the cloud without even knowing it, because it is omnipresent, but not necessarily visible. So if you use a web client such as Gmail, well, for example, it's an email cloud service. And you're going to pay only for the emails you stored. You're not provisioning servers when you use Gmail. You just use it. Maybe you've stored some data on the cloud. Maybe through Dropbox, Google Drive, Google Photos, iCloud, I don't know. But with Dropbox, for example, it's a cloud store service. You're going to put your files on Dropbox. So we've been using a cloud storage service as well, without knowing it. And Netflix, it's huge. There are different kinds of clouds out there. The first one is called a private cloud, and the provider could be Rackspace. This is cloud services used by a single organization. They're not exposed to the public. So you get your own private cloud, your own private data center. It's just managed by someone else. You still have complete control over it. And you have more security for a sensitive application, which may need some specific business needs. Now the public cloud is more interesting. So 5 famous cloud providers that are public are 1. Microsoft Azure, 2. Google Cloud, 3. Amazon Web Services, 4. Alibaba Cloud, 5. Oracle Cloud. So in this case, the cloud resources owned and operated by a third-party cloud service provider, and they're delivered over the internet. And then lastly, is the concept of a hybrid cloud. So with hybrid, we're actually getting the mix of private and public. We're going to keep some servers on premises, and we'll extend some of the capabilities we need into the cloud. That means that we'll have a hybrid of our own infrastructure and public cloud, for example Microsoft Azure Cloud or Google Cloud. We'll have control over sensitive assets in your private infrastructure, but we'll have the flexibility and the cost-effectiveness of using the public cloud. Now, 5 characteristics of cloud computing. The first one is that it's fully on demand and self-service. We will be able to provision resources and use them without having anyone from public cloud intervene. Then we'll be having access to a broad network. The resources will be available over the network, and it can be accessed in diverse ways. It'll be multi-tenancy, and we'll have resource pooling. So that means that not just us, but other customers from public cloud can share the same infrastructure and applications while still having security and privacy. And then these multiple customers are getting serviced from the same physical resources. So here, me, you, and other customers, we are going to share this entire data center of the cloud. This gives us rapid elasticity and scalability. That means that we can automatically and quickly acquire and dispose resources when we need. And that means that we can quickly and easily scale based on demand. And that is a major advantage of the cloud. Finally, it's a measured service, so the usage is going to be measured, and we're going to pay exactly for what we have used. This is a big shift from on-premises. Now, 6 advantages. We are going to trade capital expenses for operational expenses, so CapEx or OpEx. That means that you don't own hardware. You're going to pay on demand, and that will reduce your total cost of ownership, your TCO, and your operational expense. That means that you don't buy the hardware in advance. You're just going to rent it from public cloud. Then we're going to benefit from massive economies of scale. The price is because we are using public cloud, not just us, but other customers, and so many people are using it. Then the prices will be reduced by public cloud over time, because public cloud will be more efficient at running due to its large scale. We also need to stop guessing capacity. Before we had to plan and buy servers in advance and hope that it would meet the capacity. But now we can actually scale automatically, based on the actual measured usage for our application. And because everything's on demand, we have increased speed and agility. We can create, operate, and do stuff right away. No blockers for us to be efficient. And finally, we have a huge cost that we don't need to have anymore, which is we can stop spending money running and maintaining data centers. And this allows a team of, say, 5 people to create a global application in minutes, thanks to leveraging this public cloud global infrastructure that is going to be worldwide. Okay. So the problems we've just solved by using the cloud is that we're more flexible, we're more cost-effective, we are more scalable because we can add resources as we need to go along. We're elastic, we can scale out and scale in when needed. We also have high availability and fault tolerance, because we don't really own the one data center. We rely on the fleet of data centers all around the world. We're more agile, we can rapidly develop, test and launch software applications. And although this makes the cloud a really no-brainer, the shared responsibility model, this is what defines what is your responsibility versus public cloud such as Microsoft Azure Cloud or Google Cloud. When using the cloud, and there is a shared responsibility. You as a customer, you're responsible for the security in the cloud. So whatever you use in the cloud, however you configure it, is your entire responsibility. That includes security, your data, your operating system, your network and firewall configuration, etc. And public cloud is going to be responsible for the security of the cloud. So all the infrastructure, all the hardware, all the software, all their own internal security, they are responsible of. And this is why we have shared responsibility. Finally, when you use public cloud, you are agreeing to their acceptable use policy. And I think it's pretty obvious that you cannot do any illegal, harmful of offensive use or content. You cannot do any security violation. You cannot abuse a network. And you cannot do email or other types of messages abuse. All of that makes sense, but it's good to specify it.
Please like and subscribe and click the bell icon. Enable all alerts to get new video updates. Share this video and channel with your friends and family. Bye from SHK.